Hello and welcome to the Cash Game Locks podcast. I'm Big Italy 42 here giving you a rundown of some targets for you for your cash games here for Tuesday nights. I'm going to give you some ideas of some pitchers. I'm going to give you a couple lineups that I put together, give you a good idea of who I'm looking at, who some others might be looking at, and which teams and which places are in some good spots for you. Who's got your nice floors that you're looking for in cash games. So starting off on FanDuel here, you've got David Price and Jose Fernandez up at the top. David Price is sitting at $11,400. Jose Fernandez, $10,700. That's going to be the decision for you if you're paying up. David Price just a minus 107 favorite and a 6.5 run total against Jake Odorizzi in Tampa. Obviously, you like the Detroit side of this one. You like David Price in this matchup, but barely a favorite. That 4 points for a win is huge, so that kind of hurts his value for me just a little bit because he is the most expensive pitcher. I mean, you can get a little bit of a discount and go with Jose Fernandez. But same time, he's also only a minus 125 favorite, but also 6.5 run total. And against Washington, who, as you know, is essentially Bryce Harper and everyone else right now. That is a very bad lineup right now. So I'm in no way concerned about targeting that lineup, especially with a guy like Fernandez coming off an 11 strikeout game against Arizona. So for me, Jose Fernandez, all those factors considered, that's the guy I'm slotting in at pitcher and taking a little bit of a discount there. Once again, going with Matt Wieters, assuming that he's in the lineup. Obviously, you're going to check this. And I should give you a disclaimer off the bat. A lot of trade rumors swirling. A lot of guys that could be getting moved. Wieters not one of them, of course. But a lot of guys that could be in different spots come lineup lock. I mean, we even saw last night Shane Victorino was slotted in the Red Sox lineup and then got traded and pulled out of the lineup. So you got to be ready up until 7:05. No late swap on FanDuel especially. So got to be ready to take advantage where you can, and maybe some hidden value will pop up late. But either way, Matt Wieters is just $2,300 throughout his career. Great for the left side, and obviously switch hitter. Julio Teheran has not been good against left-handed batters this season. In fact, he's allowed a 378 WOBA and 7 home runs already. So while he's an above-average pitcher, you don't mind targeting with left-handed bats. So that's what I'll be doing here with Matt Wieters at nearly minimum salary, just like last night. If you're paying up, though, a catcher, Buster Posey's your top option. He's priced like it, though, at $4,400. Willie Peralta is an okay pitcher. He's much better against right-handed batters than he is against left-handed batters, but also his first start returning from injury. Buster Posey is still just a great option for you. All right, first base options. In this lineup in particular, I went with Jose Abreu. He's $3,200, gets Wade Miley, the lefty, who struggles against right-handed batters. 338 WOBA allowed, 9 homers on the season. Abreu, like we said, has just not been flashy this season, but he's been consistently good, which makes him a great cash game option at his price. Some other guys you want to consider, Evan Encarnacion's $4,600, so is Paul Goldschmidt. Both those guys are in okay spots, but you're not paying up for those guys in your cash games. You don't mind a guy like Mark Teixeira against Martin Perez at $3,800, but when he's noticed the discount, that seems like the way to go. Adam Lind, apparently nursing a back injury now. I seem to think he was pulled out of the lineup more so because he's probably going to get traded to the Cardinals. But either way, all speculation at this point. If he's in the lineup, he's a fine play at $3,800 as well against Matt Cain. But for me, I'm just taking a little bit of a discount going with Jose Abreu here. Second base options. Jose Altuve is your top option at $4,400. Probably going to be pretty tough to pay for him, though. And it's not a great matchup. He is going against C.J. Wilson, who's a fine pitcher in his own right, but Altuve, as you know, crushes lefties, especially at home, so you got to consider him. The guy I'll probably be playing in my cash game is going to be Colton Wong at $3,000. Mike Leake, notable struggles against left-handed batters. Actually improved on a little bit this season in the last month or so, down to a 325 overall WOBA, which is not bad. So it's below average still, but definitely not a guy that you're going out of your way to pick on with a bunch of lefties. And he's pitched fairly well, but Colton Wong leading off, you got to like that at $3,000. And obviously St. Louis something to play for. The Reds, not so much. So other options, if you're not playing David Price, I know this is a Cash Games podcast, but you consider Logan Forsythe. I know that David Price has been good, but Logan Forsythe has been absolutely incredible against left-handed pitching. And the other guy I'm really considering, though, is Robinson Cano at $3,600. Gets the rookie in Zach Godley, who had a great first start. He was a guy that I targeted with hitters in Milwaukee in that first start. But he's Robinson Cano's just been on fire recently. I don't know, some sort of tweak to his motion or something, but whatever it is, it's working. So I'm a big fan of that here tonight as well. Third base options, you want Josh Donaldson against a lefty. Josh Donaldson is absolutely incredible against lefties. This is the highest total of the night at 9 runs right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go up a little bit more as well. This is by far the best team in the league against left-handed pitching. And, I mean, Josh Donaldson's the one leading the way. He's got incredible numbers against southpaws. A 325 ISO, 441 WOBA, 186 WRC plus on the season. This guy is the guy you want in your cash games. $4,700 is expensive, but you're going to want to pay for him. You've got other options. You can consider an A-Rod at $4,000 against Martin Perez, of course. Other options, nobody really stands out as a great cash game option. You can consider a guy like Danny Valencia. As you know, I always talk about him as Josh Donaldson light. He's very good against lefties. Doesn't have a lot of power against lefties, though. But at $2,900, I think he's a fine play also. Shortstops, where I'm going to be saving some money. I wanted to get some big bats in my lineup where I could. And Alcides Escobar, as he usually is, batting atop that Kansas City lineup, gets Trevor Bauer tonight. He's $2,300. Bauer's not a guy I'm going on my way to pick on, but he's very volatile. Definitely a guy you can't count on. So Alcides Escobar, a guy that gets on base, he scores runs. Gotta love that. Xander Bogaerts, a little bit of a price bump, up finally for $3,000. Slotted to face Jeff Samardzija. Jeff Samardzija also one of those guys who is in trade talks right now. So maybe he gets traded, maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't, you got to love Xander Bogaerts even more. Either way, I think that's a fine spot for Xander Bogaerts at $3,000 if you're not paying for, or if you're not paying down for Alcides Escobar. Next up, the outfield. Taking advantage of guys who are really good against a certain hand, and that starts here with Chris Young at $2,900. Mentioned Martin Perez, a guy you want to pick on. Chris Young, as you know, he batted second last night against lefties. That's all he does is he hits lefties, does not hit righties. So there's a chance he gets platooned later in the game, but at $2,900, I think he makes for a fine cash game option. Marlon Byrd, another one of those guys, absolutely mashes left-handed pitching. He's $2,400. Gotta like Marlon Byrd there. He's in a great spot against Jaime Garcia, who has actually been pretty good this season, but once again returning from injury. Marlon Byrd near min salary. And he's been hitting lefties and righties pretty well over the past month or so, so I'm a big fan of his. And then one of the hottest hitters on the planet right now, Melky Cabrera, $3,500. This guy has RBIs in 7 consecutive games, 8 of his last 9. 3 of those multi-RBIs. He's got a double dong game in there. He's got a game with 2 doubles. He has 7 of those last 9 games with multiple hits. $3,500 seems like a steep price tag, but as I'm looking at it now, Melky Cabrera batting atop that lineup. It is a weak lineup, but they're also facing a bad pitcher in Wade Miley. So I do like Melky Cabrera a great deal tonight. Looking over at DraftKings, we're talking about pitchers again. Once again, the win not quite as heavily weighted on DraftKings here. So you've still got that same predicament that you're looking at with those guys in David Price and Jose Fernandez. Not a significant discount for either one. 12.8 for Price, 12.7 for Jose Fernandez. So for me, David Price, and here's why. David Price is a guy he can pitch deeper into games. Scott actually pointed out on our DraftKings podcast, so check that out. He's a guy who has a much, much longer leash right now. He has, in fact, 113 or more pitches in each of his last 4 starts. 8, 7, 8, and 7 innings throughout there. 2, 1, 0, and 1 earned runs. This is a guy who has big-time upside. He pitches deep into games. DraftKings does have complete game and complete game shutout bonuses, and David Price is no stranger to those bonuses. So he has higher upside, probably higher floor, I should say, than Jose Fernandez. And he has similar upside. I mean, he had a 12K game against Baltimore a few starts back, so I don't mind him. It's going to be really tough to fit both of those guys in any lineup, really. So obviously that's not a route I'll be taking. I wanted to get a cheaper guy in here in this cash game lineup, and I went with Brett Anderson, going against an Oakland team that is absolutely terrible against left-handed pitching. 124 team ISO, 20th in the league in team WOBA. They do walk 8.8% of the time, but Brett Anderson, not a guy that gives up a lot of hard contact. He's not a guy that walks a lot of batters. He's also not a guy that strikes out a lot of batters, so 17.4%. But leads all of baseball with 66.8% ground ball rate. That's what you want in your cash games, a guy that isn't going to give up hard contact, guy that keeps the ball on the ground. He's coming off an injury, but seems like he's going to be fine. And he's been solid this season. For $6,700, I think he's a fine option in this matchup against a struggling offense. Matt Wieters, once again, just way too cheap on DraftKings as well, $2,600. So I'm definitely a big fan of his once again here tonight. And then you're looking at your first base options. Edwin Encarnacion just seems like he's just far too cheap here tonight at $4,100. He's a guy that just, you usually see him around 5K against the lefties. So a little bit confusing there, I guess. But at the same time, definitely a guy that I don't mind tonight. You're looking at him, and he's probably your best cash game option. You could go Jose Abreu for $100 more against Wade Miley, but Edwin Encarnacion evolves in the highest total of the night. Really like that. Brandon Belt, another swerve you can go with. Already mentioned Peralta struggle against lefties. He's $3,900. I think he's a fine option as well. And those are really the guys I'm looking at in cash games. Not trying to pay up a ton for these other guys. Obviously, Buster Posey, you can play him at catcher at first, but Encarnacion, just too cheap for his matchup tonight. I'm going after Jose Altuve at second. I couldn't afford him on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, fit him in there, $4,700. He's a guy, I mentioned he's one of the better hitters in the game against left-handed pitching, so $4,700, you pay up for him. He's got stolen base upside. He's got a little bit of power even. And Oakland got some big boppers behind him that can hit lefties pretty well. So got to like his prospects today. I once again got Josh Donaldson at third base, $5,800. Very steep price tag, but I already gave you the numbers against lefties. I mean, his overall numbers are impressive on the year as well. So Josh Donaldson, just a guy you really want to target, especially at home. He's averaging 3 more DraftKings points per game at home, batting .340 opposed to .240 on the road. So Josh Donaldson at home against a lefty, that is where you want Josh Donaldson. He's going to be worth you paying for. That's the guy you want. Shortstop, I'm taking advantage of cheap plays. Tyler Saladino led off yesterday's game on the 2-hole with a triple right after Adam Eaton's triple. So $2,400 for this guy. Been hitting well. Gets Wade Miley tonight. Just makes a lot of sense to save yourself some money at shortstop on DraftKings as well. Outfield's going to look real similar to what it did on FanDuel. Marlon Byrd at $3,600. Already kind of touched on that one. Melky Cabrera, the hot hitter, at $39. And then another guy you got to keep your eye on. As of right now, no news. Maybe he's still staying in Milwaukee, but $3,400 Gerardo Parra. Throughout his career, he's crushed right-handed pitching. The guy doesn't hit lefties, but he doesn't need to hit lefties. He hits at the top of the order, and he hits right-handed pitching. That's what you want. $3,400 is a great price for him. Against Matt Cain, who was once a great pitcher, is no longer a great pitcher. I mean, he has allowed a .338 WOBA so far to left-handed batters this season. Only faced 40 of them, though, so very small sample size. But I don't have a whole lot of faith in Matt Cain, especially when Gerardo Parra is so cheap. So that is going to wrap things up. Find us on Twitter at DFCafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out all of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com.